Hello, my name is Max Bamfield. Welcome to my talk. Today I'll be discussing a gymnastic stunt that I was practicing when I was about 17 years old in readiness for an annual demonstration of our gym. And most of the time, when you're practicing things, you can get everything organised the way you want it, but sometimes the equipment isn't set up right. And in this instance, there was a stage about 2 foot high and it had equipment on it, and there was a space of about 5 steps towards a springboard. And it's about 3 feet wide, it's flat at one end, solid wood, goes up to about 5 foot or more in length, and so when you bounce on the far end, it springs, and that flies you through the air. And in front of that was a 5 foot high wooden horse. Now the shape of this horse you'll be able to see with a photo, but it's essentially 5 feet long and 5 feet high and somewhat triangular in shape down the base, although it's got a flat top. My mate was sitting at the other end, 5 foot away, 6 foot away from the springboard. And so the vaulting was about 5 foot high and his head would have been about 8 foot high. And what I had to do to achieve this length is get my head 3 feet above that, so there's enough room for me to go over, with my hands balanced on his head for support, first to his shoulders and then generally to his head. And so the idea, because there's only 5 steps to travel, the springboard's 5 foot long, I had to run, jump, get my head about 10 or more feet into the air, 5, 6 feet away. So it requires a lot of force when you're springing. And I thought, well, I'll try it anyway. There's not much room there. And I went back and I ran up, bounced full speed, full force on the springboard, and got up to my mate, and I didn't have enough height. So all I could do is grab his shoulders, push myself back, land on the vaulting horse, turn around, put my hand on the top of the vaulting horse and drop off and think I can't do it. I can't get up enough speed because of the short distance. What I decided to do is go out the back where we had our equipment shed. And then in front of the equipment shed, we had a car park, more or less, probably 5 or more than 5 yards across. And we had a double door because our gym was built in an old picture theatre. And often in small 2-story buildings, we'd had our feet on the ceiling. So I come racing across. I was going to come racing across there. Then there's a double door. And then there's a room and diagonally about 5 yards, which I raced across. And then there's a door, and I turned and went through the door another 3 yards, leapt over the corner of the 2 foot high stage and come around, raced up the springboard and bounced, with the aim of getting to my mate, grabbing his shoulders, and then you go like this, and that gives you, you're already travelling up at great speed, so that easily gives you another few feet of height. And then over and then onto a mat, right? And that's not like the ones you see today. That was just 12-inch square cubes of foam in a big meshing bag, and half the time you'd land, and if you landed flat you'd be safe, but if you landed straight down you go straight through that foam. The only thing between you and the floor is thin canvas. And if you fell to the left or the right, there's a rock hard solid wooden floor. So you get the picture. So I'll now tell you how it works. I went out to the back shed. I raced across the car park, went through the double doors, raced diagonally across the room, through the door, jumped over the 2 foot stage and raced up the springboard and went pow at full speed and full force, and your toes are supposed to land on the springboard, but my heel did and slipped, So I went down to the ground at full force, going forward at full speed. And my legs crumpled into a tangled mess. And I had to bend my head so I didn't break my nose. And my hands went on the wooden horse and collapsed. And my head and my chest smashed against the horse. Right? And I was stood down. I was a crumpled heap tangled up between the springboard and the 12-inch spatial lift and the vaulting horse. And I thought that ruddy hurt. And I staggered up. Right, it was like untangling myself. My legs and my knees. And I got up. And you know, my mate says, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'll probably live." And I came out to the one side and went over to the side of the springboard and the vaulting horse. And I had a look, what did I do wrong? What can I do about this? And it's quite painful, but not really if you do that sort of stuff all the time. It's not entirely unusual. So that wasn't the issue. But the issue was, that could have been dangerous. Right, I don't want to do it again. So what I did was, I'm looking at the springboard and the vaulting horse, and I'm thinking the gap and the distance. And I thought, I don't want to do that again. It's bloody dangerous. But the trouble is, if I win another week and come back, I thought, I want to do that again, I'll probably lose my nerve because I have a week to think about it. And I think I'll be thinking too much about it. I reckon I can do this. So I'm going to have to do that now, right? And see what happens. But what I've got to do is the same thing, but I've got to make sure that my hop, step and a jump onto the springboard, my foot lands on the springboard and not 6 inches further. So I had to sort of alter the timing of that hop, step and jump. So I said, all right, am I going to do this or not? And I thought, Tommy, mate, stay there, I'll have another go at it. I gave myself about 5 minutes rest to think about it. See, I'll do it. So I went back out to the shed. I raced across the car park, diagonally through the hall, straight through a door, over the stage and turned around and pound! Hop, step and a jump. And got to my mate's shoulder, over I went. And I did it. Now, the advantage of that is, I knew I could do it. The advantage is that is, if I did it again and couldn't make it, it's because I wasn't running fast enough or whatever. So I knew I could do the stunt. Now, to cut a long story short, in the next 2 months, I practiced and had a lot of falls, but I knew I could do it, and eventually it became routine. And so we had a demonstration night, and I did it in front of an audience of about 100 people around the place, and it all went smoothly. Just in case it didn't, my mate was dressed up as a clown. So we could say, oh, yeah, it's funny. Because we didn't want people to worry about. They're nervous and they're worried that I'm going to break a leg or something. We didn't want people to worry. It's an entertainment. So he was a clown just in case I fell all over the floor, and I might end up on his shoulders, grabbing hold of his shoulders, twisting around, getting a foot on the vaulting horse, and then flying off on the wooden floor, rolling around in a tumble on all fours hopefully, or splayed out, so that I didn't land solidly. And sometimes I could land on my back, the top shoulder blade area. It's very powerful and it doesn't really hurt. But you've got to know what you're doing. So that was how I did that stunt, right? When I was young, I thought, there's this cameraman there. Where did he come from? He's asking me questions about where to stand and what to do and all this. And I thought, why did he take my photo? This is nothing. One day when I grow up, I'll be doing better than this. So I wasn't interested in photos and things like that. But he took a few hundred photos to sell to all the audience and the parents and kids and so forth. And afterwards he said to me, the about a month later, do you want to buy these leftovers? I said, no, what do I want photos for? I'm doing a stunt or not. You know, I can't afford that. And so he gave it to me. Because he really thought it was great. He would have made a lot of money out of that. I didn't know you could take money out of photos. And so I got a photo of a lot of those stunts. On one of them, you can see behind me. For what it's worth, the advantage of doing that is I didn't lose my nerve, and eventually that stunt became routine, and I got on with doing better stunts. So thank you for watching. You see lots of stunts on TV. Well, that's one of the ones that I did. At that time, at that age, I was quite happy to do that successfully. So now you know how that stunt was performed. Thank you for watching. Tell your friends. But remember, it's not the sort of thing you do unless you've had quite a lot of practice, because if I really didn't think I could do it, I wouldn't do it. And as an instructor, I wouldn't let anyone else do anything like that unless I was there to watch and catch.